What is up? Shop Talk Podcast. And once again, we are live from the workbench. This is episode 27. And this is for September 2nd, 2018. This is for the Labor Day weekend. And I hope everybody out there is having a good weekend. Hopefully you're off work. Hopefully you're at work. I will be working tomorrow. So, anyways, anybody that listens to this podcast already knows I gotta check some levels. Okay, that sounds okay. Okay, so, yeah, this is Putzel and Yetzel, and Goyim, if anybody knows those terms. So we have 5 NBA teams throughout history that would beat the Warriors today. The Golden State Warriors, that is. And we're also debunking a Bulls Jordan era rumor or myth. By the way, we'll get to that. And stick around too, because when we get to the 5th team, yeah, they're all kind of surprises, but the 5th team is even more of a surprise. They're all surprises. We'll get there. So, and by the way, I am predicting that the Celtics will win the Eastern Conference Finals. Okay, so 4 out of the 5 of these teams have never won a championship. And we'll get more into that because I could easily just pick teams, Russell era, not Russell Westbrook, Bill Russell. I could just go on and on and on. But that would be too easy. So I picked all these teams. They will all be different. They will all pretty much blow your mind. And it might make you think a little bit. Okay. So a quick shout out to basketball-reference.com, where you can find most of these stats on these teams. And my favorite team of all time, we're going to get right into it, because there's 5 teams that could beat the Golden State Warriors today. And that now you also got to go into their prime, and also I'll get further into it, but some of these teams had hand check rules. Some of these teams did not. Okay? And then also on top of that, we'll get more into the rules as we go along. The first team. Okay. My favorite team of all time is the 1992-93 Charlotte Hornets. I could have went with the 1993-94 Charlotte Hornets or the 1994-95 Charlotte Hornets. Problem is there were some bad trades. Also, there was some malcontent. Oh, by the way, I had to look up that word. Figured it out. So here we go. There's some different things that happened with the roster through those different years. That's why I chose the 1992-93 Charlotte Hornets. I wanted to use the 93-94 roster with Hershey Hawkins, but I wanted Kendall Gill on the team. They were 44-38, and this is the 92-93 Hornets, and also Kendall Gill, and we'll get more into that because I thought he was traded for Hershey Hawkins to go to the Sonics, and if anybody out there is older, they will remember that. But he got traded for a couple other players. It wasn't Sedell 3. It doesn't matter. So, on the 92-93 Hornets, we have Tyrone Muggsy Bogues at the point guard position. Also, and I know we'll get backlash for picking this team first, but it had nothing to do with picking the team first. It had everything to do with the 5 teams. So just fucking wait. So at the scoring guard position, shooting guard position, whatever you want to call it, with Kendall Gill, which a lot of people don't know that Kendall Gill led the league many times in steals. And he even told that to legendary NBA ref Joey Crawford. And Joey Crawford was like, really? You hold the league and whatever? Yeah, okay. So, and then at the small forward position, we have David Wingate. Never that much of an offensive player, but you also, a lot of people don't know, Muggsy Bogues at 5'3", him and David Wingate were also high school players on the same team. That is super rare. And there was another player, too, that also went to the NBA that was on that high school team. And people go, well, how could Muggsy Bogues guard I probably left that a little bit out of here. But the whole Golden State Warriors team. How could Muggsy Bogues guard help me out. You already know who his name is. He's the babyface killer. You know. He's 6'3". He's a foot taller than Muggsy Bogues. Well, guess what? If Muggsy Bogues could strip Michael Jordan, he could strip. Can't even fucking think of his name. And we already know who his name is. The babyface killer from Golden State Warriors. So, and then at the power forward position, we have Larry Johnson. Grandmama. Also, how could you compete with the emotional lesbian on the Golden State Warriors? He's 6'11". I'm going to guess his weight. I'm going to go with 260. Well, guess who you have? You have Alonzo Mourning. And guess who came before him? Dikembe Mutombo. Okay? And Patrick Ewing. He learned all from them. Yeah, they weren't in school with him. Has nothing to do with it. Steph Curry. Why can't I remember that? Oh, I know why. Because Steph is a girl's name. So, there you go. And this is the whole point of part of this. Let me get this TV going here. I need something to... Where the hell did I put the remote? Oh, shit. We got to keep going. But this is the whole reason why we... How are you doing something at 5 more? Okay. This is... So, off the bench, got your starting five there. Off the bench, guess who you got? Guess who you got? If you don't know, now you know. You got Stephen Curry's daddy. You got Del Curry. He has the record for the most three-pointers in Hornets history. There, who taught him his shot? Okay. So, and then some of you older heads will remember this. At small forward, Johnny Newman. And then at power forward, Kenny Gaddison. The strengths of the team is defense. They could play small ball, line up with Johnson at the 4. You got to remember, Johnson's only 6'5". And strength, they were strong. That part of their strengths that they had strength. Okay. The problem is with this team is their weakness is a lack of depth on the bench. And I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Anyways, he was a white dude. Didn't score much his whole career. And he was on this team and a couple other he was on a couple other years of this team. And I don't remember if it was NBA Live. NBA 2K was definitely not around. It was some other game. But if you used them in the game, there were certain spots on the floor that you could shoot it from. I'm talking far out, like full court shots. And they would go right in. Yeah, white guy. Anyways. So here's a little loop for you. The 2006-07 Golden State Warriors. That's right. Who's going to beat the Golden State Warriors this era other than another team that was Golden State Warriors? And I was going to pick another team from the Sonics era. Jesus. This is what Labor Day does to you. I worked too much last week. Led by Pioneer coach, run and gun offense, fellow drinker. That's right, baby. Don Nelson. It can't get much better than that. If you ever watch this team play, which you millennials, you won't remember. But if you ever watch this team play, wow. And they were ahead of their time. They were small ball. And they were run and gun. And you got point guard, Baron Davis. At the scoring guard, shooting guard, Jason Richardson. Small forward, Steven Jackson, not Stephen. And also, they had him listed at the power forward position, but he's a small forward. Matt Barnes, and also a power forward, and I have him playing the center position because this is how they played. They played very small ball. And here's your small ball lineup. You got Baron Davis at the point. Scoring guard, Monte Ellis, and he was a scoring beast before his career fell off. That's just the way it works sometimes. Same way with Jason Richardson. At the small forward position, that he's actually a scoring guard, I have Jason Richardson. And then playing the powered forward position, and he's really a small forward, is Steven Jackson. And at the power forward position, I have Al Harrington. Now you got to remember, too, I'll get this out of the way because this is longer in here. Three of these guys play in the Big Three Basketball League, and that would be Baron Davis, Steven Jackson, and Al Harrington, which they call Buckets. And if you don't know what that league is, you need to get into it and check it out. They are on Fox Sports Ohio and some other shit. So anyways, off the bench, a lot of these guys, if you're not big NBA basketball heads, you will not remember who they are. But off scoring guard, you have Azubuike. And Azubuike, after playing for the Golden State Warriors, he went to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then his career dropped off. He's a great player. Then at power forward position, well, that's what they have him listed at. And when I say that too, a lot of the power forwards that are listed in some of these things, they're really small forwards, and some of the centers are listed as power forwards. And then you go onto like NBA 2K, whatever, and they have them listed in their right positions. So I said power forward, but at the small forward position, off the bench, you had Matt Barnes. I know. Okay, center position. A lot of guys don't remember this guy, but he had some really a good few years in the league, and then he was gone. And that's Andreas Biedrins. And I'm probably not saying that right, but you get the idea. Here you go. Here's a good example of that. At the power forward position, they have Mike Dunleavy, which he's the son of a coach, listed as a power forward. He's not a power forward. When he recently got traded from the Cleveland Cavs to the Atlanta Hawks, I think he was listed as a scoring guard. But he's really a shooting forward, small forward, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Yeah. Small forward. He also played scoring guard. Is Michael Pietrins. And, he's a French dude. Good player. Great defensive player. This team has so many offensive players, but they also have defensive players. And a lot of these guys are, they're forgotten about. Also, there was a couple of years that Troy Murphy from Notre Dame, I believe he played for Notre Dame. He is listed as a power forward in this. He also played center. If anybody remembers these people, the team didn't go that far. That has no point in this at all. It's the way they match up. Jason Richardson was like a human highlight film. Same way with Baron Davis. Baron Davis could hit the three, and he can dunk. He smash dunk on your head. Steven Jackson, I think it's funny that, okay, I didn't talk much about it maybe with Kendall Gill on the other team, but Steven Jackson was the same way. He was up in arms. He didn't want to play with them anymore. Malcontent. Just figured out what that meant. Here we go. Another team that could have beat, this would be the second team. We're going for 5 teams that could have beat the Golden State Warriors in this era of play, and we'll get more into the era of play here in a little bit, is the 1995 to 1996 Seattle Supersonics. I could have picked from 3 years with this team. 1993 to 1994 team would have had Kendall Gill, which he was a absolute defensive phenomenon. And the 1995-1996 Supersonics went 64-18 under George Karl. Hersey Hawkins seemed to follow Kendall Gill throughout the league. So when Kendall Gill got traded to the Supersonics, Hersey Hawkins, I think he went from the 76ers to the Hornets, and that's where I kind of got. But Kendall Gill got traded for Eddie Johnson and someone else. It doesn't matter. Again, shout out to basketball-reference.com for some of these stats. Now, I have them, if you remember this team, it's Gary Payton at the point. Now, I'm going to list out some of their. He's 6'4". You got Hersey Hawkins at the scoring guard position. He's 6'3", but he's also defensive-minded. And then you got small forward, Detlef Schrempf at 6'9". Power forward, yeah, baby. It's the Rain Man. Sean Kemp at 6'10". And first-year player, I believe, at center, Irvin Johnson. Not Magic. Again, he's 6'11". It's Irvin Johnson. And then the crazy thing about this team is their bench. So, on the bench, you have backup point guard Nate McMillan at 6'5". And you already got your starting point guard. He's 6'4". That's huge. Huge. And then you got veteran at the scoring guard, Vincent Askew. A lot of people don't talk about him. He's 6'6", normal height for scoring guard, especially at that time, or small forward even at that time. And you always have your exceptions. And this guy should have been on my Iron Man podcast list, blah, 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 at power forward center position, one of the most underrated power forwards or centers. I would say he's a center. Sam Perkins at 6'9". And then at scoring guard, small forward, you had David Wingate at 6'5", which he never scored, I don't even think, 10 points per game his whole career. But that has nothing to do with it. The guy was very defensive-minded. Their strengths on this team was athleticism, and they had a pure shooter in Schrempf, or whatever. Oh, yeah, Detlef Schrempf, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Also, they had 3 All-Stars that year. Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, Detlef Schrempf, and the height at the point guard position, and they had they were deep at the point guard position. Their weakness was lack of depth. Jesus, if I could even belt it out. Lack of team chemistry and experience playing together. Another player I failed to mention always gave Jordan a hard time that was on the Seattle Supersonics a few years before, that should have been on my Iron Man list, was Ricky Pierce. And he played 18 years in the league. Does that tell you why he should have been on the list? I mean, I get it. Hey. Team 4. What? Let's see if it... Who the fuck said that? Okay. Team 4. Yeah, I was going to pick the 1996-97 Dallas Mavericks because of the player matchups like point guard Jason Kidd, scoring guard Jim Jackson, Jimmy. I think he's from the 419. I can't remember. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Played at Ohio State, right down the street. Small forward Jamal Mashburn. But I don't know if Jason Kidd fully developed his three-point shot yet at that point. And Jim Jackson was a post-up shooting guard. This was the year the team was falling apart. The two previous two previous years, they had many injuries, and they were one of the worst defensive ratings in the league as far as teams go. I could have went with a David Robinson, Tim Duncan Spurs, countless Lakers teams, Jason Kidd, Vince Carter, New Jersey Nets teams. People would also argue the mini championships of the Bill Russell era Celtics. Unfortunately, I didn't pick any of those teams. Yeah. What the hell did I do with this? Oh, Jesus. I didn't pick any of the teams that didn't come from the 3-point line era. I didn't pick any of the teams that, yeah, you get what I'm saying. They all had a 3-point line in the era that I picked. The reason being, and I'll get more into that here in just a second. Yeah, that was probably uncalled for, but, So, I wish I could add more of those teams, but I don't know enough about those teams as a whole from that era. I know a lot of the stars from those teams, the Elgin Baylors, the Rick Barrys, but most of the guys on the bench, not so much. If I did use any of the teams, I would have the original 3-point line, also hand checking in this discussion, and also the 3-point line was adopted by the NBA for 1-year trial period from 1979 to 1980 season. Of course, the article I read never talked about it going away. So I'm assuming that the 3-point line never went away after that. The trial period turned into, whatever. So the 3-point line measuring is 23 feet and 9 inches, and it was changed to a uniform 22 feet for 3 seasons from the 1994-95 season till 1996 to 97 season for 3 seasons. So the only problem that you would have is Klay Thompson changing the mid-range jumper from a 2 to a 3. And I've watched this many times in games. Everybody's seen it. Foot's on the line. Blah, blah, blah. That could be your argument right there. But it also opened the corner 3 for a lot of big men at that time. And I remember after they changed it, hearing them say, well, that would have been a 3. Yeah. So, the average number of three-pointer attempts for those 3 years increased by 50%. There's also a rumor that the 3-point line was decreased to help the Bulls win the championship. And hold on for a second, because I need to clip that off.
Who the fuck said that?
So, I'm going to repeat myself. And there was a rumor, and there still is a rumor, that the 3-point line was decreased to help the Bulls win a championship for the following years and this was when Michael Jordan came back. And I think he came back maybe 20 games into the season. But it doesn't matter. So I think, I'm going to go over a few stats, team stats, at least I think I'm going to. We'll get there further. The player stats for those 3 years in the 1993-94 Bulls seasons, they finished second in the NBA without Michael Jordan. Scottie Pippen for the next 1993 to 94 seasons attempted 20, he attempted 23 threes in one game. Oh, Jesus Christ, no. He attempted 2.7 three-pointers, just 1.1 the previous year. I'm sure the attempts went up due to Jordan's absence. Over the next 3 years, Pippen's attempts went up to 4.0 to 5.2, and again the following year, the third year, 5.2. Jordan did a return for the 1994-1995 season, but Tony Kukoc's attempts did not spike up by much from his first season and in the league, from 1.6 to 2.4. 2.4 would be the year that the rule changed. 2.7 and 2.6. He actually had higher attempts later on in his career. I thought a team's percentage would be a lot easier to find, but I was going to combine B.J. Armstrong, Steve Kerr, and Jim Paxson's free throw. Their 3-point attempts per game, but Jim Paxson retired just before the year that the rule changed, and also B.J. Armstrong was traded a year after the rule change, and Steve Kerr stayed with the Bulls, and it was just irrelevant, so it didn't even fucking matter. And okay, we'll get on to Jordan's, because a lot of people go, wow, Jordan could shoot the three. Okay, even Jordan's return had no proof in the 3-point attempts, which would have proved to benefit him more, because anyone out there has ever used Jordan in a video game. No, 3-point shooting wasn't his strong suit. He had more 3-point attempts in the 1992-93 season, before the season that he took off because of his father, then to play baseball. Then the 1994-95 season, when they changed the rule. Okay, so that's out of the way. Back to the historic teams that could beat the Golden State Warriors today. And a lot of people would really get a fucking kick out of this. Yep. And I already know. Everybody's going to hate me for this. You go, oh, that team couldn't beat the... Guess what? They're two different eras. You're putting them together. You don't know. So, this one I do know. Okay. The only championship team on this list is the 2007-2008 Boston Celtics, who went 66-16 in the regular season. And that has nothing to do with this. This, basically, if they could beat them hands down all day, every day, blah, blah, blah. And you got to remember, I was talking about hand checking. And actually, I don't know if 2007, 2008, you still can hand check, but I think you still could. And even if you couldn't, let's go say, for this team that I picked, we'll say no fucking hand checking. Guess who still wins? The Boston Celtics. Okay, Second year man, point guard, Rajon Rondo, still in the NBA. Scoring guard, Ray Allen. Small forward, Paul Pierce. Power forward, Kevin Garnett. And yes, this is the year before they had. Yeah, okay. Center, Kendrick Perkins. I think he was a first year man or second year man. And he's going to be the next head coach in this league. That's all I'm saying. If LeBron stayed in Cleveland, Kendrick Perkins would be fucking coaching the goddamn Cleveland Cavaliers. Okay. Some people fucking just jumped off. So here we go. On their bench, they got a loaded bench. This is the most loaded bench you'll ever see in your whole life. Sam Cassell at the point guard position. Guess who else you got? Point guard, scoring guard, Eddie House. What was he? 6'1", 6'3"? Lights out shooter, 3-point shot. Scoring guard, defensive mastermind, Tony Allen. If you don't know these names, fucking look them up. Wikipedia them. You can find them. Also, small forward, power forward. They haven't listed as power forward. He's really small forward. James Posey. I believe right after this season he left. He got his dough in Charlotte or New Orleans or whatever, the Hornets. So, power forward position, P.J. Brown. And you also have the GOAT, the greatest of all time, Brian Scalabrine, the greatest of all time cheerleaders and fans of the Boston Celtics. And he plays in the Big Three. Fun to watch. Not a bad player either. He's got skill. He saved it all for the Big Three. Anyways, center position, Big Baby Shaq, whatever they called him. Big Baby Glenn Davis. And you also had undersized at the center position, you had Leon Poe. And for a lot of people that don't remember, Leon Poe grew up as he's only 6'8", 240, which is a huge guy. But to play the center position, he's very undersized. I remember him coming off the bench and just ripping offensive stuff into the other team. I don't remember if that was the Lakers. Okay. And then even the other backup beyond his years was Scott Pollard, which I liked his appearance on All Things Comedy, Punch Drunk Sports. It was nice to hear what he had to say. I'll go with some statistics. They were 11th in the league for as far as points per game, and they were second in the league as far as opponents' points per game. Yeah. Their offensive rating was 12th. God, I think I'm becoming dyslexic looking at all these numbers and different things written down. Their offensive rating was 10th in the league, and their defensive rating was first. Good luck guarding against that. They had the deepest bench of all the teams I picked, and it's a 48-minute game when you're playing with a bench that is that deep. They're interchangeable lineups and players. You could play small ball as far as if you were coaching them, or big. They're a no-brainer team. I could have went with so many different other teams. There was the later Sonics. I'm not talking about the one I mentioned. I'm talking about even later than that, where Brent Berry played for them. There were so many different other teams. Danny Fortson played for the Sonics at that time. That was a good team. There were so many other teams I could have went with. And I only chose one championship team, but you also got to remember, they only won one championship. They didn't win any after that. And then actually after that year, like I said, James Posey left. A lot of people left. And I'm still yawning like a motherfucker. Okay. So we already talked about it. in the last podcast. Been working a lot. Well, I'll get to it right after this last team. The fifth team, the wild card. Yes, I'm predicting it with the fifth team. The final team, this year's 2018-19 championship winner. Guess who? Over the Golden State Warriors, the Golden Boys, the fucking Yacht Club, the fucking bitch boys. Yeah. The emotional lesbians, the fucking donkeys, the crybabies, the Boston Celtics. Oh, yeah, that's right. I predict it. And I really fucking hope that they will. Even if they don't, I don't give a shit. It's my show. I can say what I want, do what I want. So you have, at the point guard position, you have Kyrie Irving. And you got to remember, he has already won a championship over them fucking Golden State Warriors. Then you have, at small guard, shooting guard, Jaylen Brown. 6'8", 6'7", blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then coming off a massive fucking injury, small forward, Gordon Hayward. And we'll get more into that here in a second. And then at power forward, you have Jason Tatum. He's really a small forward. Yeah. 6'8", real bony. He needs to put on some weight, just a little weight for the small forward position. He doesn't even put on that power forward weight. He's not going to. I mean, he doesn't have the body type for that. And then you got center, Al Horford. I wouldn't say Al Horford's underrated. He's getting older. Great center. And then off the bench, you have point guard, and one of my favorites, Scary Terry Rozier. And I still want one of those I want one of those Barstool shirts they came out with where he has the Drew Bledsoe shirt on in the shirt. It's a cartoon character. And then he has the Scream mask on. And that's just because, and it's because he referred to Eric Bledsoe as Drew Bledsoe, and he didn't know who fucking Drew Bledsoe was. I love it. I fucking love it. At the scoring guard position, we have real rough and tough, thick-bodied, can play against anybody in the league, whether they're 6'10" or 6 foot tall. Marcus Smart. He can defend many positions. And then they have a log jam at the small forward position, but off the bench you have Marcus Morris. You know, he's beefy, he's big. And then with the gun show, you have Ojale. He's got big-ass arms. Now, on paper, they're putting this guy at power forward, but he's really, I believe, a true center. And that is rookie Robert Williams. He's got more money now. He's got some shitty tattoos. He just needs to get some better tattoos, and he'll fit right in. And hopefully he doesn't get money and get more shitty tattoos. But I believe he'll be playing the center position. And then at the center, you have Australian, I believe, Aaron Baines, and standout player last year for them in Daniel Tice. And I say that because everybody was praising him. Daniel Tice plays pretty good. Tiny bit overrated, a little bit. But the setup with this team, they're so interchangeable. You can move players around. I really think they have a huge log jam at small forward position because you have Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward, Jason Tatum, even at Marcus Smart, blah, blah, blah. You keep going with these players. A lot of them could play the small forward position. Marcus Smart, yeah, he's a scoring guard. Sometimes he plays point guard. But even in small ball lineups, he can play the small forward position. The list goes on and on. If they had one more player that would just stand out to be a certain... They kind of have their weakness is at power forward. But the way this game is played now, it's a little adjustable for them. I appreciate everybody out there that's listening. I hope you have a good Labor Day weekend. Blah, blah, blah. If you like the show and you want to support the show, check out my PayPal. It is paypal.me/live from the workbench. If you would like to support the show, check out all the stuff on social media and also all the cooking videos on iTunes podcasts and also as well as YouTube. And I hope you guys have a good, safe weekend. Take care. Maybe we'll go through a couple of these just for a second.
What? Where's my cat?
Why not?
I killed your cat, you druggy bitch.
That makes me feel at home.
Why? I felt it would bring closure to our relationship. You killed my...
Your what?
Why? Huh? You what, bitch? I'll shoot myself in the head. You can tell me that cat's name. Go ahead. You what? You precious little... Oh, Jesus, what color was it, bitch?
So you fucking yell at her like that, you prick!
Shit, you fat ass, Ravy. I can't buy a pack of smokes without running into 9 guys, you fucked. Dad. What?
Oh, it's funny how it just loops like that. Maybe that's a loop machine.
Who's the slimy little communist shit twinkle toad cocksucker down here who just signed his own death warrant?
I'm glad you guys are listening.
Nobody, huh?
Guess what?
The
No one else
fiery
is.
fucking godmother said it. I'm fucking standing. I will PT you all until you fucking die. I'll PT you until your asshole for sucking buttermilk. Was it you scroungy little fuck, huh? Sir, no, sir. You little piece of shit, you look like a fucking worm. I bet it was you. Sir, no, sir. Sir, I
Could have
said
been
it,
you.
sir. Well, no shit. What have we got
Sorry,
here?
I don't remember
Fucking
how long
comedian,
these go
private
for.
Joker. I admire your honesty. Hell, I like you. You can come over to my house and fuck my sister.
Oh, that's it.
Please like and subscribe and share so I can think my dad is cool.
There we go. So I hope you guys have a good weekend. I appreciate everybody out there that listens. Let me adjust some levels so you don't have to jump up and turn your shit down. So check out the paypal.me/live from the workbench. I appreciate everybody out there that listens and subscribes. I really hope you guys have a good, safe weekend. Take care.
Can it be that it was all so simple then?
Got me thinking, I remember the time.
Can it be that it was all so simple then?
Ain't no changing what's left.
Can it be that it was all so simple then?
Because we all race against death.
Can